Culpeper, Virginia, May 27, 1995, 3:08 p.m. Christopher Reeve sat on his horse, Buck, an equestrian competition, a routine jump. The horse approached the third fence. Christopher prepared to jump, but Buck stopped suddenly. Refused the jump. Christopher flew forward. Over the horse's head, his hands tangled in the bridle. He couldn't break his fall with his arms. He landed. Head first, full force crack. His first and second cervical vertebrae shattered, his spinal cord severed. Christopher Reeve, age 42, Superman himself, would never walk again, would never move anything below his neck again, would need a ventilator to breathe for the rest of his life. Have you ever wondered what happens when Superman can't fly? When the man who represented hope faces total despair? When a body that once soared through the sky becomes a prison? Today I'm going to tell you a story about falling and rising, about a 6'4" man reduced to 165 pounds of muscle atrophy, about a wife who promised, "You're still you and I love you," when he begged her to let him die, and about how the man who played Superman became a real hero by showing the world what courage actually looks like. Wait a minute. Don't miss this detail. October 10th, 2004. Time 5:30 p.m. Christopher Reeve's heart stopped in his Pound Ridge, New York home. He was 52 years old, a heart attack caused by an infected pressure sore, a complication of paralysis. His wife Dana was there. His 3 children were called, but it happened too fast. For 9 years and 4 months, Christopher Reeve lived as a quadriplegic, unable to move, unable to breathe on his own, dependent on others for everything. But in those 9 years, he changed the world more than Superman ever did. The real story begins much earlier. In 1952 in New York City, Gilishme from Princeton to Krypton, the boy who loved to fly, September 25th, 1952, Manhattan, New York, Christopher Dollier. Reeve was born, his parents, Franklin Reeve, poet and scholar, and Barbara Pitney. Reeve, journalist, wealthy family, intelligent, cultured. But when Christopher was 4, his parents divorced, brutal, bitter. Young Christopher split time between parents, never feeling fully at home anywhere. But what they didn't know yet, Christopher found escape in theater and flying. At age 9, he saw his first play, Mesmerized. I want to do that. I want to be on stage. At age 16, he started taking flying lessons, gliders, small planes, the feeling of being airborne, free, in control. When I fly, nothing else matters. I'm free up there, theater and flying. These 2 loves would define him. This is exactly where everything changed. 1970. Christopher was 17, tall, already 6'4", handsome, talented. He got into Cornell University, then switched to Juilliard, the most prestigious acting school in America. At Juilliard, his roommate Robin Williams, 2 young actors. Both brilliant, both destined for greatness. Robin was chaos, energy, comedy. Christopher was discipline, intensity, classical training. They became best friends. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. Christopher graduated Juilliard, started working in theater and soap operas, talented but struggling. Just another tall, handsome actor in New York. Then in 1977, his agent called, "They're making a Superman movie. Big budget. They want an unknown for the lead." Christopher auditioned. 200+ actors tried out. Director Richard Donner saw Christopher's screen test. That's him. That's Superman. But there was a problem. 1978, becoming Superman, Christopher Reeve was 6'4", but only 188 pounds. Lean. Not muscular enough for Superman. The studio said, "You need to gain 30 pounds of muscle." "You have 6 months," Christopher committed. Trained 4 hours a day, weights, diet, transformation. When filming began, Christopher was 218 pounds of muscle. He looked like Superman. Wait a minute. Don't miss this detail. But Christopher didn't just play Superman. He understood something deeper. He played Clark Kent as the real person. Superman was the disguise. Clark is who he is. Superman is what he can do. This interpretation made the character work, made audiences believe. When Superman the movie premiered December 1978, it was a massive hit. The tagline, "You'll believe a man can fly," and they did. Christopher Reeve, age 26, became an international superstar overnight. But what's really shocking, fame came with pressure. Superman 2, 1980. Superman 3, 1983. Superman 4, 1987. Each one less successful than the last. Christopher was typecast. You're Superman. That's all you'll ever be. He tried other roles. Death Trap, 1982. The Bostonians in 1984. Good reviews but no box office. Hollywood didn't want Christopher Reeve, they wanted Superman. Christopher was frustrated. I'm a classically trained actor. I can do Shakespeare. I can do drama. But all anyone sees is the cape. This is exactly where everything changed. 1987. Christopher decided, no more Superman movies. I need to prove I'm more than a costume. He went back to theater, directed films, did serious dramatic work, and he met someone who would change his life forever. Dana Morosini, the woman who saved him twice, June 1987. A cabaret in Williamstown, Massachusetts. Christopher Reeve was in the audience. On stage, Dana Morosini, a beautiful 25-year-old singer and actress. Christopher was captivated. After the show, he introduced himself. Hi, I'm Christopher. Dana smiled. I know who you are. Everyone knows who you are. But she wasn't starstruck. She saw him. Not Superman, him, you won't believe this, but they started dating. Christopher was 34. Dana was 25. Christopher had been married before 1979 to 1987 to Gay Exton. 2 children, Matthew and Alexandra. That marriage ended badly. Christopher was ready to never marry again. But Dana was different. She was smart, independent, funny. She challenged him. You're not Superman to me. You're just Chris, a man who sometimes makes bad jokes and burns toast. For the first time in years, Christopher felt seen as a human being. This is exactly where everything changed. April 11th, 1992. Christopher and Dana married in Williamstown. Small ceremony. Family and close friends. Robin Williams was there. Best man Christopher's vows. I promise to love you, to make you laugh, to never take you for granted. Dana's vows. I promise to stand by you. In good times and bad. No matter what, those words would be tested in ways neither could. Imagine December 20th, 1992. Their son Will was born. Christopher was 40. He'd found happiness, family, purpose, beyond Superman. But what's really shocking, 1994-1995. Christopher was thriving, directing films, theater work, happy marriage, raising Will. He'd also rekindled his love of horseback riding, equestrian competitions. Show jumping. It was challenging, athletic, graceful. When I'm riding, I feel like I'm flying again. It's the closest thing to being Superman I've ever experienced in real life. May 1995. Christopher entered a competition in Culpeper, Virginia. He'd done this dozens of times. Experienced rider, well-trained horse. It was supposed to be routine. May 27th, 1995. 3:08 p.m. Everything changed. The fall, May 27th, 1995, the third fence. Buck, Christopher's horse, stopped abruptly. Christopher flew forward. His hands caught in the bridle. He couldn't protect his head. Impact. Head first into the ground. Crack. Christopher felt nothing below his neck. Nothing. Paramedics arrived. They knew immediately. Severe spinal injury. They stabilized his head and neck. Rushed him to the hospital. This is exactly where everything changed. University of Virginia Hospital. Emergency room doctors examined Christopher. X-rays, MRI. The damage was catastrophic. Dr. John Jane, the neurosurgeon, explained to Dana, his C1 and C2 vertebrae are shattered. His spinal cord is severely damaged. He's paralyzed from the neck down. He can't breathe on his own. Dana's world stopped. Will he recover? I don't know. Maybe some movement will return, but prepare for the possibility that this is permanent. Wait a minute, don't miss this detail. Christopher was conscious, on a ventilator. Tubes everywhere. He couldn't move, couldn't breathe, could barely speak. When Dana came to his bedside, Christopher's first words were, "Maybe we should let me go." Dana's eyes filled with tears. "I'm going to be a burden. I can't do this to you." "To Will, just let me go." Dana grabbed his hand. He couldn't feel it, but she held it anyway. She looked him in the eyes and said, "You're still you, and I love you," those 6 words. "You're still you, and I love you," Christopher later said. That moment, that's when I decided to live. But what's really shocking, the next days were critical. Christopher needed emergency surgery. Reattach vertebrae. Stabilize the spine. The surgery took 5 hours. Success. But the paralysis was permanent. Christopher would never walk again. Never move his arms or legs. Never breathe on his own. Total quadriplegia. C1, C2 injury. The worst kind. Most people with this injury die at the scene. Or within hours. Christopher survived. But at what cost? The darkness, 1995-1996 after surgery. Christopher spent months in rehabilitation at Kessler Institute in New Jersey, learning to live as a quadriplegic. You haven't seen the biggest surprise yet. The reality was devastating. Breathing ventilator 24/7. A machine breathed for him. Movement, nothing below the neck. Not a finger, not a toe. Eating, feeding tube initially, eventually soft foods by mouth. Bathroom catheter. Bowel program. No control. Speaking difficult. The ventilator made talking hard. Christopher was 604 of helpless dependency. What you're seeing now is nothing. The first weeks, Christopher was suicidal. He'd have nightmares where he could move. Then wake up and remember, paralyzed. I wanted to die. Every day I thought about it. One night he asked Dana to disconnect the ventilator. Just turn it off. Let me go. You and Will deserve better. Dana refused. Will deserves a father. I deserve my husband. You're still you. But what's really shocking, Robin Williams saved him. One day, early in recovery, there was a knock on Christopher's hospital room door. A man in surgical scrubs entered. Russian accent. Hello, Mr. Reeve. I am here to perform your proctology exam. Christopher was confused, scared. The man came closer. Grabbed gloves, then pulled off his mask. Robin Williams grinning like an idiot. Christopher laughed. For the first time since the accident, he laughed. Robin, if you can laugh, you can live. This is exactly where everything changed. Slowly, Christopher decided to fight. Not fight to walk again, doctors said impossible. Fight to live as a quadriplegic, with dignity, with purpose. Dana was with him every step. She learned how to operate the ventilator, how to do his physical therapy, how to care for every need. She became his nurse, his advocate, his voice, his everything, and she never complained. Going public, September 1995, September 1995. 4 months after the accident, Christopher made his first public appearance. The Creative Coalition charity event, wheelchair, ventilator, visibly frail, but he insisted on going. He wanted to show the world, I'm still here. I'm still me. You won't believe this, but when Christopher appeared on stage, pushed in his wheelchair, the audience gasped. Superman, in a wheelchair, on a ventilator. Christopher spoke with difficulty between ventilator breaths. Thank you for being here. As you can see, I've had better days, but I'm grateful to be here, and I'm going to keep going. Standing ovation. Tears. Everyone was crying. This is exactly where everything changed. Christopher decided he would use his fame to help others. He'd become an advocate for spinal cord injury research. If I can't walk, maybe I can help others walk someday. He founded the Christopher Reeve Foundation, later Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. Mission: cure spinal cord injuries. Improve quality of life for paralysis patients. Superman couldn't fly anymore, but he could still give hope. The years of fighting: 1996-2004, 1996-2004. Christopher Reeve became the most famous disability advocate in the world. What you're seeing now is nothing. What Christopher did in 9 years, 1996, directed his first film post-accident, In the Gloaming, HBO. From a wheelchair, couldn't move cameras himself. Had assistants execute his vision, 1 rave reviews, 1998, published autobiography. Still Me, bestseller. Honest about suicidal thoughts. Honest about marriage struggles, inspiring ending. I'm Still Me, Still Christopher. 1998, appeared in Rear Window remake, TV movie. Perfect role for a wheelchair-bound actor. Showed he could still act, 2002. Recovered small amount of sensation. Could feel pinpricks on parts of his body. Could move his index finger slightly. Doctors were amazed. Impossible according to old science. 2004, Superman Returns was announced. Christopher was asked to cameo. He was excited. I'd love to pass the torch. He never got the chance, but what's really shocking, behind the public heroism was private. Hell daily routine, wake up, nurses turn him, suction his ventilator, breakfast, fed by Dana or nurse physical therapy, 2 hours. Moving paralyzed limbs to prevent atrophy. Bathroom catheter changes, bowel program lunch, fed again more therapy or work dinner. Fed bed, turned every 2 hours all night to prevent pressure sores, 24-hour care. Every single day. For 9 years cost, $400,000 per year. Insurance covered some. Foundation fundraising covered more. But it was crushing. Wait a minute. Don't miss this detail. Dana carried it all. She was Christopher's wife. Will's mother, raising a child while caring for paralyzed husband. Foundation organizer, public spokesperson. Private nurse, emotional support. She never complained. Never wavered. Friends would ask, how do you do it? Dana, he's my husband. This is what love looks like. But there's something they didn't know. Dana was struggling too. She'd cry in private, exhausted, overwhelmed. Sometimes she'd think, I can't do this anymore. But then she'd look at Christopher, fighting every day, and she'd think, if he can fight, so can I. Pressure sores, the silent killer, 2003-2004. Christopher's health declined. The problem? Pressure sores. When you can't move, blood flow to skin decreases. Sores develop. They get infected. For quadriplegics, pressure sores are one of the leading causes of death. This is exactly where everything changed. September 2004. Christopher developed a severe pressure sore. It became infected. Sepsis risk. Doctors treated it with antibiotics. Wound care. But Christopher's body, after 9 years of paralysis, was weakening. His immune system compromised. His heart strained. October 9, 2004. Christopher went into cardiac arrest at home. Paramedics revived him. Rushed him to Northern Westchester Hospital. He was stabilized. Put in ICU, Dana was told, the next 48 hours are critical. October 10, 2004, Superman's final flight. October 10, 2004, Sunday, 5:30 p.m. Christopher Reeve's heart stopped again. This time, they couldn't revive him. Cardiac arrest. Caused by infection from pressure sore. Age 52, Dana was there. Holding his hand, his children, Matthew, 25, Alexandra, 21, and Will, 11, were called. But Christopher was gone before they arrived. When the door opened, what they saw, Christopher Reeve, Superman, paralyzed for 9 years. Now at peace, no more ventilator, no more pain, no more fighting, just silence. Dana later said, he fought for 9 years. Every single day. He earned his rest. The man who proved heroes don't need to fly. What killed Christopher Reeve? Official. Cardiac arrest. Complications from infected pressure sore and quadriplegia. Real. His body, after 9 years of total paralysis, finally gave out. But his spirit never did. The wife who became the Heroism Reeve, married 12 years. Caregiver for 9. After Christopher died, she continued his work. Became president of the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. But what's really shocking, March 2005, 5 months after Christopher died, Dana was diagnosed with lung cancer, stage 4. She'd never smoked, never. Just bad luck. Dana fought chemotherapy, radiation, but March 6, 2006, Dana died. Age 44, less than 2 years after Christopher. Their son Will was 13 years old, orphaned. Will was raised by Christopher's ex-wife, Gay Exton, and his maternal grandmother. He's now a journalist and activist. The legacy the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation continues today. Achievements. Funded over $150 million in spinal cord research, changed perceptions of disability, improved quality of life programs for paralysis patients. Christopher's advocacy led to increased NIH funding for spinal research. What you're seeing now is nothing. Christopher Reeve's prediction: people who are paralyzed in my lifetime will walk again in my children's lifetime. As of 2024, we're not there yet. But progress is being made. Epidural stimulation helping some paralyzed patients regain movement. Stem cell research advancing robotic exoskeletons. Brain-computer interfaces. Christopher's dream isn't reality yet, but it's closer. What we learned from Christopher Reeve: 1. Heroism isn't about superpowers. Christopher was more heroic in a wheelchair than he ever was as Superman. You're still you are the most powerful words. Dana's 6 words saved his life. Remember that. When someone you love is suffering, remind them, you're still you. Every day is a choice. Christopher chose to live. Every single day, even when it was hell. Love isn't just the good times. Dana stayed, cared for him, loved him, through everything. That's real love. Use your platform. Christopher could have disappeared. Instead, he fought for others. That's legacy. The man behind the Cape Christopher's diary entries from Still Me. May 27th, 1995. My life ended today, but somehow I'm still here. June 15th, 1995. Dana said, "You're still you. I don't feel like me, but I'll try to find me again." December 1995. Will laughed at my joke today. If I can make my son laugh, I still have purpose. January 2000. I moved my finger today. Just a little, but I moved it. Maybe there's hope. October 2004. Tired, so tired. But Dana needs me. Will needs me. I'll keep going. Wait a minute, don't miss this detail. Christopher's final words to Dana, the day before he died. "I love you. You saved me. You're the real hero." Superman's final lesson at Christopher's funeral. Robin Williams gave the eulogy. Chris showed us that being a hero isn't about flying. It's about getting up every day when you can't even move. It's about fighting when there's no hope. It's about loving when love is hard. Superman fell to Earth on May 27th, 1995, but Christopher Reeve rose from that fall and showed us what a real hero looks like. This is exactly where everything changed. Today, Christopher Reeve is remembered not for flying through the air in a cape. He's remembered for fighting from a wheelchair, for showing the world that paralysis doesn't end your life. It changes it. But you're still you. Rest in peace, Christopher. Rest in peace, Dana. You flew together. You fell together. You rose together, and now you rest together. Subscribe to Nursing Home. This was Christopher Reeve's story. Falling, fighting, never giving up. Subscribe to Nursing Home channel, because every Superman eventually falls. But true heroes rise from the fall. Which legend's final chapter do you want next? Because when you can't fly anymore, what matters? Christopher Reeve taught us love, hope, and choosing to live one more day.